call to order the February 26, 2024 meeting of the Clackamas Fire District #1 Board of Directors. At Clackamas Fire District, we are always here for you. We value our people and the people we serve. Our focus is establishing teams, trust, empowerment, accountability, mindset, and service. If you are attending in person, please sign in on the sign-up sheet next to the door. This session is called to order. Regular meeting of Clackamas Fire District Board of Directors will now come to order at 5 p.m. I think I already did that. Per ORS 192-610 to 192-690. Per ORS 192-650, this meeting is being recorded. The video recording of this meeting will be placed on the Clackamas Fire District website. Would you please stand and face the flag and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just make a note that online we have, the reason I'm running the meeting tonight is we have Director Searing, the president of the board, is in Florida. And Director Cross is somewhere that looks like, his man cave. So with that, glad you guys are here. Chief Brown, are there any changes to the agenda?
We do have two small changes. After public comment, if we could do introduction of the new division chiefs. Chief Kyle Olson, Chief Brent Olson, and Chief Jonathan Sherman. And then item R1B under information only items, we'll just merge strategic services and the fire chief's office. Chief Stewart is not going to be attending today.
Okay. So who is gonna be giving everything that's contained in Chief Dieter's report?
I will give that as well.
Okay, I just wondered who we had it split up to this evening. So one of these times we're gonna put him first. We gotta get the second. All right. Then, did any of the board have any changes or additions to the agenda? No. Here, Jay, Jim, everybody okay? Okay. Public comment. I will now call for statement. Oh, I'm sorry, did I jump past one? Oh, I did, okay. If there are no changes to the minutes for the regular board meeting on January 22nd, or did anybody have any changes or questions about the consent agenda? Okay, sorry, I'm getting used to this. It's a different meeting, I have to run two. If there are no changes to the minutes for the regular board meeting on January 22nd, 2024, stand approved as written. Now, our next public comment, now call for statements from citizens regarding district business. Ariel, did we have anybody?
We did not.
No. Is there anyone that didn't sign up that has something they want to say? Do we have anybody online? Nope. Okay. And it looks like B1, annual meeting of the member of the Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was your intro. I'm looking at two
Yes.
things here. This
Yeah.
whole script thing.
You're good. You're good. And you have to forgive me. I forgot to let you know that Director Andrew Bryan is here from the Sandy Board of Directors. So just would like to.
Just a
Oh, you're just a
working person.
working person today. Okay. So with that, I would like to introduce, we've made some promotions effective January 1. We talked about that last board meeting, but at this time I'd like to have the division chiefs kind of stand up. All three of them, but talk a little bit about their roles, and we'll just start with Kyle Olson.
Perfect. All right, good evening. Kyle Olson, January 1st, took the promotion for an operations chief position. And I've been with the organization since 2001, when I was hired, worked my way up through the ranks, and previously was the training chief the last couple of years. So now I'm here in the ops chief role, and we've got a great ops team here. And my responsibilities include training division, training department. We've got our volunteers, and I'm in charge of all the tech rescue programs, amongst other things. So my list keeps growing every day. So that's a summary, and I'm just happy to be here.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right.
Jonathan Shireman, I got hired here in 2000, and for the last almost 9 years, I was a battalion chief, mostly out of Oregon City. As Kyle got promoted on January 1st, so I'm in charge of field operations. So that means I'm in charge of the day-to-day operations of the fire district. So the battalion chiefs report directly to me, so I'm in contact with them each day and just making sure everything goes smoothly and well.
Thank you.
And good evening, Brent Olson. I'm the Division Chief of Wildland Operation and Resiliency. I do a lot of coordination with outside agencies at the federal and state levels. I also assist my two counterparts here on day-to-day operations with the fire district. And I've been with the fire district, started as an explorer in '96, a volunteer in '99, and a paid individual career in 2004 or 5, one of those years. And so anyways, thank you and happy to be here.
We're super excited to have these three step into these roles and excited to see the future. So if it's okay with you, and if you don't have any questions for them, if I excuse them to go on without their day.
So none of them are tasked with giving any detailed report?
They just did. They just did.
Welcome and thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
I can see again. Okay, now we'll move on to B1, the annual meeting of the member of the Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation and request approval of budget 2024. That's gonna be President Jerry Kearney and Treasurer Sherry Rosenbaum. You're up. Good night.
Remind me? I don't really know, but I'm assuming everyone's received the budget electronically, is that correct? I don't know if you want me to go by line item, if we want to just answer any questions that you may have. I'm prepared to do that and take it from there, so please tell me what the protocol is to be.
Probably easiest. Did any of the board have any questions, comments to start with? Meryl, go ahead.
Thank you, Sherry. Also, thanks so much for your service, which has been very long. It's been a foundation. We really appreciate it. So I'm a little confused on this professional fees issue.
Okay,
So I think it says that $15,000 is the total budget amount, but the accounting and bookkeeping subcategories don't add up to that. And there's a blank in the webpage.
did you have something to?
I can't do it.
Oh, okay, I did, Barry, so unless you have something you want to add.
I don't know.
Okay. The question, Mary, was, she said that she had questions on the professional fees right
Yes.
here. So, our budgeted item for 2023 was 15,000. Our actual spent was 11,895 and 91 cents. Accounting and bookkeeping make up that. There is a blank item here. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to in the web design.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this is because I was not in attendance to that meeting, so I'm gonna ask for Jerry's support on this one. In 2023, there was a discussion of hiring an outside agency or an outside independent contractor, to create a new web design for Emergency Services Foundation. It was never finalized. It's my understanding there was never any bids submitted. And at our last meeting, our January meeting, when we attempted to approve this, and we were already supposed to be presenting it to you, there was a long discussion as to, let's put it on as a line item for 2024 budget and put it back out there to get bids. So there's no dollar amount assigned for 2024. My thought was, and I could be completely off base here, but my thought was, let's get it on as a line item. Let's get some budgets, some bids coming in. I have no idea I'm not in that industry. I have no idea what a web design cost would be. I mean, I've seen everything from $500 up to $20,000. What are we looking at? What is the cost? And then if we needed to come back to get a amended approval from this board, we certainly would do that.
Okay, and we
meeting, and I think you were there, Sherry, from the auction committee. Dave Dornick presented, and if I'm wrong that you were there, I apologize for that. But, Dave Dornick, who is a Clackamas firefighter, former volunteer, website designer by profession, outside of being a firefighter, presented a proposal to the auction committee to spend approximately 1,900 and small change. I don't remember the amount of money above 1,900 to design a website excuse me, for the auction. In our discussion as a committee, we said, wait a minute, we're a little bit late here for this year. So why don't we have him do it for next year in case we have an auction? We don't necessarily say we're having one, but we had it in case. So the auction committee approved that expense that I just mentioned, $1,900 and some odd cents. To be spent on a website design for next year's auction. Dave took it a step further and took it a step further for free by redesigning our current website and dressing it up, making it more professional. It's the best word I can use. One of the people that I know were at that meeting was Don Trotter, myself, the lady that put on the auction for us. Her business is raising money for organizations such as ours. And she could not say enough positive things about Dave's work, Dave's demeanor and professional presentation, and his actual production. Dave has continued to work on producing a site within that $1,900 and some odd cents, and it's below 2,000, I guarantee you that. And he's within, he believes, 2 to 3 weeks of being able to say, here's your website. The old website, when you take them side by side, left much to be desired. The former web designer still is a volunteer and does web designing on the side. Don and I both believe that we were within our allowance to spend money based on the auction. And we went ahead and spent it. I've seen a preview of this. I was hoping to be able to have something like that here tonight. But Dave said he didn't want to be unduly influencing you folks in his presence and presentation. So it fell to me to answer questions that you might have. I'm here. Please feel free. I personally am a strong proponent of having a website. I don't see how we can advertise ourselves adequately and sufficiently, and how we can notify the community of potentially positive things that we do as a foundation for the community if we don't have a website. Taking out newspaper ads is long passé. And we've got to enter into 2024, 21st century. And that's where we're trying to go.
Did you have more? Oh. Well, let's go finish up. Marilyn's got another question.
Well, so I need clarification, Jerry. That Dave's charges thus far will be or have been allocated to the auction for last year.
Affirmative.
They don't show on this budget.
That is correct.
And the foundation is considering the board of trustees going out for bid to get a new webpage.
I guess I stand corrected. I will tell you that it was unanimous at all of our the two trustee meetings that I was at that discussed a website. We are all very well aware that we need a updated, as Jerry said, beautified website, because the one we currently have or had, it's actually taken down right now and not available for public view, but the one that we had was very outdated and was not adequate for our needs, for anyone's needs, really. It was very, very difficult to maneuver and was not serving a purpose. And I just to clarify, when Jerry said that he and Don had, and correct me if I'm wrong, when Jerry said that he and Don had approved and spent the money, he doesn't mean literally. I mean, the check has not been written.
No.
He just means that they gave him the green light, which, I mean, if he does great work, I think that's fantastic, and we probably don't need to go out for any other bids. And I would imagine, I can't speak for the rest of the trustees, we're only two of, well, it's very small now. Our trustees size has shrunk, excuse me, but we're in the process of growing that again. But I can feel pretty confident that it's not going to be a problem if everyone agrees that it, based on his work that he's done in the past, that we'll move forward with him.
And if I can speak for Don, he's yay, affirmative, I like it, it's good, let's go. Speaking for myself, just heard Sherry. It's another trustee who has volunteered to take Sherry's place as secretary treasurer and director of marketing. He's a retired general manager at the Benson Hotel, who is currently a trustee with us and has been for several years. And he is, get out of my way, Jerry, I want a website. That's his attitude.
And it has been, every time it's been brought up at any of our meetings, it's been completely unanimous that we definitely need one. So I might have misspoke that it was going out for bids. That was my understanding at the last meeting in January.
It may still go out for bids. It depends on the reception of the one that's been prepared. So, I mean, you're both probably correct. So how many trustees do we have now? You said there's a reduction in numbers?
Very, very, yes, very much so. As of, and correct me if I'm wrong, voting, because we have our
Active trustees.
right, voting active trustees, we are at 8. We have, of course, liaisons from obviously Clackamas Fire,
Oregon City
Sheriff,
Police
Oregon
Department.
City Police Department, Milwaukee Police Department, but yeah, it's definitely in the number of years that I've been involved in the, and I believe in complete transparency, so I'm just gonna say exactly what, the number of years that I've been involved, which at this point in time, I am the longest standing trustee in Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation by, I think, 2 months with Don and I. We were anywhere from 20 to 25, and we're down to 8.
And what happened with that? We had 20 to 25 names on a roster. But they weren't showing up to meetings, therefore we were unable to form a quorum. To hold a meeting, and business was suspended. Decision was made that we were going to speak to people and say, are you or are you not going to be active? And those that said no have been dropped.
I didn't see anything in the budget that, would indicate that maybe the trustees are considering having some sort of planning session. I mean, the foundation's like 25 years, 26 years old now. Maybe it's time for all of you who are the active trustees to get together and say, okay, here's where we've been, here's where we are, here's where we want to go, and how do we get there? But I don't know, I know everybody's a volunteer and really busy and everything, but has there been any discussion of doing something like that?
Yes, there's been and one of the things that Ron Gladley is looking at in 2018, which was our last planning session that we did when we wrote the marketing plan and the business and comprehensive plan. And it's kind of set on the back burner, and we have not really followed up or continued to it should be a constant work in progress, as we all know. And that has not happened. And Ron is definitely, and I was very excited to get the email this past week that Ron has agreed to step in as marketing director, which we've never had with before. So I think it's a move in the right direction. In addition to having an active trustees that were on the board and we're not attending the meeting, I think we also have to take into consideration that, COVID had, worldwide pandemic, a lot of things changed with the trustees. When we first started, when I was first, thanks to Thomas Joseph, decided to join the Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation board. We also had, things were different then. I mean, I always like to say that we kind of rode on the coattails of your great reputation, Clackamas Fire District. And that was really the identity that the Emergency Services Foundation had. And it allowed us to be front and center in our community. And it allowed us to attract trustees much easier than what we have lately. So, the changes that have been made, and they needed to be made, rightly so, completely support it. But it's been a challenge. And one thing that I will say, the dinner auction was a disappointment this year. In 2023, had it not been for a connection that Jerry and his wife, Janet, had in our windfall of a family trust grant that was given to the foundation, we would probably not be, I shouldn't speak again, I'm saying I would not recommend, shouldn't say we, I would not recommend even doing an auction again in 2024 because our net proceeds from the auction alone, given how hard they worked on putting the auction on, was very disappointing. So, I mean, times are different, we all know.
And this lady that I spoke about who helped us put the auction on, told us going, you're on a real uphill battle here. And she referred us after the auction, told us she was going to do this, did it on her own expense, her own time, no charge to anybody. Referred us to 5 different companies that specialize in fundraising. And Don and I are scheduling meetings with them to hear what they have to say, tell them what we do, see where we go with that idea. We have not said yes or no to an auction this year. One of the things that constantly gets brought up to me by Sherry, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, is Central Catholic makes how much?
550,000 a year.
And we made about 60,000. Now,
Those were our sales. Our net after expenses for 2023 was $23,000.
yeah,
What does Central Catholic do as far as, is it the same type of thing, like a dinner and auction?
would you repeat that, please?
he wanted to know if Central Catholic does the same type of thing at interauction. And some of the things, the woman that, Carol, excuse me, Carol. I apologize. I was not on the auction committee, so I don't know her personally. I met her at one meeting. One of the things that has been considered is, grant writing. Instead of doing a dinner auction, because everyone does a dinner auction, instead of doing a golf tournament, which we've done in the past, and Rotary is wildly successful at their Rotary golf tournament. There's a lot in our community. So Carol is exploring other ideas that would be less time consuming for the committee and bear, if not the same amount or greater. We're fortunate in this, hopefully, we're fortunate this year to be able to, and that's where your planning committee comes into play. It really is a perfect time because we're fortunate, in my opinion, this year to kind of sit back and reevaluate and say, you know what, we have $210,000 that was a gift. We're not gonna let our community down. We can still support all of those great missions that we have. But we need to, it's not gonna last forever. I mean, $210,000 is a wonderful gift and we're all thrilled and, excited to be able to put it to use to support the community, but it won't last forever. So we need to figure out a plan B on what we're gonna do going forward. And the gentleman that, again, Ron Gladley, we decided last meeting in January, which was when we voted on our executive committee. And this just goes to show you that we're really having a hard time getting committed trustees. We couldn't get a trustee to even agree to be secretary, to be nominated as secretary treasurer. So me included, I was the only, all three of the positions were completely uncontested, which is, in my opinion, kind of problematic for any nonprofit board going forward. It's just not a good feeling. It's not a good place to be. So I recommended that we put our executive committee elections on hold until after we met with all of you and until after we kind of focused and were able to reach out and get some other trustees involved. And we do have
Couple starting, right?
Yep, Flint is, thanks to Thomas Joseph again. He's been able to, he's joined the trustees, and there's some other people that are also talking about it. If we go back years ago, we relied on Clackamas Fire District to fill our board. We relied on Clackamas Fire District to reach out to the community, even the business owners, to fill the board, and we just simply can't do that anymore.
Jim, you had a question, or Marilyn said? Jim, did you have a question?
Questions and just a couple points. First of all, thank you, Sherry and Jerry, for putting the budget together, coming before us. I just wanted to clarify on the first item in regards to the web design. Sherry, you mentioned that you may come back to us for an amended budget. Jerry, you mentioned some numbers. You talked with Dave Dornick. And as you know, I was approached with the suggestion that the board amend the budget tonight by adding $20,000 to that web design line item. That's what I was asked to do. So I guess my question is, do we still need to do that? And along with that, during the past week came questions, does the board of directors as the member actually have the authority to do that? Marilyn may have a little bit more information on that, but if we don't have to amend it, that's the easiest. And what I heard Sherry say is come back with an amendment. And the question that Director Wall asked made me realize on your professional fees total line item, what you're doing is you budgeted $15,000 last year, but you didn't specify how much for accounting, bookkeeping, web design. You just budgeted $15,000, and then you just showed actually what you spent under professional fees. So I guess my question is, can we approve this in just approved your 15,000 for professional fees, you're done. It gets you going, and then you're gonna be spending accounting, bookkeeping, and if you start spending on web design, it gives you a start. And then later you can come back to us with, hey, it's gonna cost 20,000 or whatever, and we could amend it then when you actually know. So I guess I'm a little confused, but I just wanted to clarify with the two of you, do we need to amend it or not? The way I'm reading this now, maybe we don't need to amend it. You have 15,000 in that line item to spend on some of those types of services, so maybe that's okay. So I guess that was one. Second, I think through the discussions that I've had with some of the other directors this week, I think it's evident that, and I was gonna ask my colleagues, when we do pass the budget tonight, because I know you need it passed because you've got bills that are waiting to pay tomorrow, that perhaps we ask the foundation trustees to come back within 6 months, maybe by September 1st, with an updated business plan that includes your marketing strategy. You mentioned you have a new marketing director. It includes your spending strategy. I noticed on the balance sheet, 472,000, that's a pretty hefty balance. What are spending parameters? People may not want to donate if they know it's that large. So spending strategy, fundraising, you're talking about, are you going to have a banquet, or I'm sorry, an auction or not? Bylaw updates, perhaps there's some updates that can be done. And I guess I think that the foundation, the way it's evolved over the years, has the ability to be more autonomous and have more, maybe they don't need to come to us and ask, please pass my budget. You're the trustees, so I don't know. I think there's just a lot. So perhaps in addition, we have other partners, Clackamas County Sheriffs, Happy Valley, Oregon City PD, Milwaukee PD. Well, what's their part in this? What are they doing? They're carrying the funds on their police cars. So anyway, I think there's enough questions right now that to me, it's a great time. Let's pass the budget, come back in 6 months with an update on maybe some of those things I mentioned, plus more. And that's all I had.
Hi, for a moment. That $15,000 that was spent in the last year did not include a full year of us having our own virtual administrator or our own accountant. So those fees may go up a little. I'm guessing $2,000 to $3,000 total.
And that's exactly why we left it at 15,000, because the actual was just right under 12,000, but it was not for a full year. And both the bookkeeper and the accountant have indicated they don't anticipate the expenses for the full year. I mean, what I want to say, the average that they're running every month will remain the same. So 15,000 will cover all 12 months for the two individuals that we do hire to do the books and the accounting.
And on a personal level, I would like to have perhaps $5,000 in there as a bargaining chip, a tool. If somebody comes up with a much better idea for a website, or Dave comes up with a much better idea, or an addition, something of that nature, I'd like to be able to say, yes, we'll spend that money to enhance the website.
You can do this under the 15,000.
I can do it right now.
Right. This covers you for a year. So if you get started on web design and you're gonna blow past the 15,000, then you can come back with a supplemental budget. And then you can adjust it from there.
Okay.
Because I think what Jim is saying, rather than us, whether we can amend it, I have the same concern Maryland does, that it says we approve. We don't even have to if we do this. We just approve your budget, get you guys started, because I think Jim's right. From everything I'm hearing, this sounds like it's a perfect spot to everybody just kind of sit back and say, where are we? Where have we been? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? it's a natural inflection point, I think, when we made. So I think we just approve the budget the way it is. You guys can get started by September 1 or wherever. We'll have a way better idea of what that, I know you had a question for that. Go ahead, Thomas.
I just want to give a testimony about Dave Dornan. But 3 years ago, I contacted him on behalf of the Rotary. We created a foundation website, and then by seeing the success of the foundation website, the club requested me and I managed and build a website for the club. And then now he maintains both of them. We don't have any technical people to manage it. So he, and is very inexpensively, very professionally, and our golf tournament, very successful golf tournament is about, I think, 25 or 30 years, golf tournament has been promoted through the website. We get membership lead through the website. So there are a lot of things he can do through that website. I think I recommended the Jim or Don, Dave's name, if they already know before. The website, I'm really sold on the idea. Foundation have to have a website. You guys need to develop some marketing strategy, and again, I was not planning to, right now I cannot, but at some point, I would be willing to come in and work a little bit on the foundation, because I know we can make that success. You have a cost, and the cost is really just. So I think if we can promote that, community will support that foundation.
One thing that I would like to mention to the directors. Frank Gladney is no longer employed by the Benson. He is employed by a company that moves him all around the country, where he becomes the temporary general manager of a facility. And I can't personally tell you where he's gonna be in September. I don't think he could tell you where he's gonna be. But what I'm asking of you, I've heard the date of September. As we get closer, could we nail a date, or maybe next month as a date down? So Ron could be here and make a presentation to you as marketing director. Yeah,
I didn't think.
it may be an extra meeting, I know.
I don't think he'll be ready in a month.
Oh, no.
That's right. So, I mean, between now and September 1st, if we find out that he needs to be here August 1st, he can be here August 1st. So I think that should get us, you guys need to pay the bills. So that seems like a simple
Yes,
thing.
we definitely need to pay our bills and our employees.
Okay. Jay, you got your hand up, Jay. And you're muted.
Yeah, thanks.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, so, yeah, I got a couple things I want to say. First of all, Jim, first of all, I agree with everything Jim said, and also Chris, I agree with everything you said as well. As the liaison to the foundation too, I've also listened to the discussion getting to this point where they are at the budget, and I gotta be honest, there's a couple of things real concerns that I have with the budget, with their budget, but one, I believe the total revenue for fundraising of $125,000 is very robust. I don't think that's obtainable. And so I just think that, just kind of seeing what I've seen over the last few years with kind of the fundraising being a significant challenge, and also going down over the last several years, jumping from $92,000 from last year to $125,000 this year in fundraising. I think that's a big jump. But that being said, also, I think some of the expenses are a little bit budgeted a little bit on the low side. So overall, I see some concerns here. And so back to what you were saying, Chris, I would recommend that the foundation take a big step back. And the other thing I'm listening to when it comes to fundraising is a lot of hope, a lot of wish, a lot of some meetings that might get planned, but nothing concrete. We might have a dinner auction, we might not. There's nothing really solid here that even suggests that any money's coming in under fundraising. So I think it is important to step back, take a real hard look at some of the details of what actually fundraising is going to look like, the actual people that are going to be doing it, how much money they anticipate bringing it in, what the actual cost of the website is going to be, what actually the website can do for us, if anything, or if it's just a website to be out there to be just to say that we have a website, and what the cost is associated with that, and then come back in what I would like to see in the September board meeting with Jim used the word business plan. Maybe I don't know if we need to go all the way to the formal business plan, but at least more details of how the money's actually coming in, and then what is the plan for actually spending it, and maybe even in allotments, but I'm not even concerned about allotments as much as how are we actually going to obtain that $125,000? And anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to point out to everybody. But and then the other part of it is I've talked to the folks, the trustees, and I'm certainly willing to be part of the solution as they work forward to try to figure all of these things out. I'm certainly willing to attend the meetings, any additional meetings that they might need to schedule to figure out the way they want to conduct business. I certainly would be willing to participate in all that as well. So anyway, that is all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to respond to it for a moment, Jay. The reason you haven't seen anything concrete is we didn't have anything coming to us, meaning Don and Jerry or the board of trustees coming to us until mid-January from the lady that I've been discussing. And at that point, we didn't know what we could or could not spend in our interchange with these companies. Company A, excuse me, sounded like it was primo, the best we could get, but it was gonna cost us $7,000. We couldn't spend money. So Don and Jerry will diligently pursue and report back. If you want it more frequently than September, we'll be happy to report back to you. And Jay, you're more than welcome to attend.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys bringing this to us. If we don't have any more questions, I guess at this point, I would entertain a motion for the board to approve the Clackamas Emergency Services Foundation's 2024 budget.
I move to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Ariel, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Cross, Jay? Jay?
Come back to me.
Okay. Chris?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Jay?
No.
And we have a 4-to-1 vote. With that, the budget passes. I think you guys know, I think it's a great time for everybody sharing this, sit down and figure out how to get where you want to go. And I've always said, first thing, most people get lost. You want to go somewhere, first thing you got to know is where you are. So thanks for all you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't get discouraged. I'm sure trustees will show up, we'll shake the bush to see if we can find some.
You're welcome to attend.
I think Clint's got a couple.
Oh, Chris?
I think Craig does too.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to mention one more thing again to Sherry and Jerry. Thank you again. In regards to the website, sounds like there's some debate within the trustees whether you need a website or not. And from my perspective, you're pretty safe to go back and tell them we need a website. Everyone that thinks you need a website, it's pretty basic and if it costs you 5,000, 10,000, or 30,000, figure that out amongst yourself and come back to it. You don't have to wait until September or whatever date to come back to get a supplemental budget. You can do it as soon as you have it figured out. So you can be working on that as we speak and come back anytime, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Well,
it. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, we are now on to B2, which is board approval of fuel vendor contract for services with Jubitz Corporation. And we have Mr. Bishop.
Thank you. Do you want me up there?
You're on particular.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. My report for this is as submitted. However, I would like to address a question that Director Wall had quickly. There's some math that doesn't equate. And with that, so the requested amount reflects 2 years of what we budget for Jubitz fuel delivery. And on the backside, what the budgeted dollar amount, that includes other things other than what just Jubitz or what Brett Howard, formerly referred to as Brett Howard. That number entails or encumbers a whole lot more, the packed ride fuel, the fuel cloud expenses and whatnot that definitely make that dollar a little bit higher. So that's what we budgeted for fiscal 24. But the amount we're requesting from Jubitz is about 371,000 times 2. With that, it's hard to forecast what fuel costs are next week, let alone next year and 2 years from now. So that dollar amount is a best guess right now with what the futures are looking like. I hope that answers your question.
What have you done in the past with this fluctuating prices of oil? What did you do? Yeah,
You take it, you guess,
you start absorbing.
you guess what it is and hopefully you budget correctly.
So your overall budget might exceed or?
Hopefully I budgeted enough and we actually come in low.
Okay.
Right now, what I budgeted for last year, I think we're trending a little bit low overall, which is good. I budgeted high, and so hopefully that 2-year request is gonna turn out about right.
You gave enough buffer for the
Yeah,
concern about the variance?
very much so. And the other piece of that is, again, like budgeting more for the pack ride, the fuel card, because some of our stations can't use our 9 on-site fuel tanks, so they have to use pack ride. Well, pack ride right now is between 50 cents and $1 higher per gallon. And so if you factor that in, I'm also looking at potentially adding another bulk tank on site somewhere where those eastern stations can use that, because when you're factoring in those expenses, you're looking at $30,000 if it's 50 cents, twice that if it's $1 a gallon. So.
And the firefighters already carpool, so we can't save any money that way. Jim, did you have any questions? Did we lose Jay?
Yeah.
Oh, you scared him off?
Oh.
There he is.
I'm here.
Oh, boy. Did you see the excitement I had there? Did you have any questions, Jay?
No, I had to take a little stretch break. Sitting down too long is killing my back, so I had to take a little stretch break, but I'm listening.
Good, good. Oh, you're fine. Thomas, any more?
No.
Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion for the board to authorize the fire chief to enter into a contract with Jubitz Corporation for district fueling services through calendar year 2025 in the amount of $742,400.
So move.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Ariel, could you call the roll, please?
Chris,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go buy some fuel.
Plan to.
If the numbers are wrong, I blame Mark. He's the numbers guy.
He gets blamed a lot for that. I try to shoulder some of that for him, but.
Guy wants to be a math major, you gotta take it when it comes. We are up to B3. Let's see, we have request board approval to surplus 9 identified vehicles and apparatus. And Mr. Bishop's gonna take that one.
I will.
Okay,
My report is submitted. Or is as submitted, however, I'll answer the question before it's asked. There are a few items on here that technically don't need to be on here. I just felt it prudent to get them all on the list and get them all in front of the board and do it all at once. So, district policy is, if it's, the acquisition cost is under $20,000, they technically don't need to go to the board.
oh,
So,
okay. You wanna get rid of 2 HHRs. Good idea.
As hard as that is for me to let them go.
I got one I rented and drove it from Miami to Tampa one time. You know those nice seats with the lumbar supports? They're made for a guy about that one. I had kidney function problems for about 2 weeks. It's in my Hertz account. Don't ever give me another one of those. Okay, anybody have any questions? Marilyn? No? Jay?
No,
You
I'm
have any
good.
questions,
No, I'm
comments?
good, thanks.
Jim? No, nobody wants to ask Bill anything. Thomas? Come on. Let Bill answer a question. Okay. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to board approve, declare the identified rolling stock as surplus and to allow the fire chief to proceed with disposal in accordance with district policy.
I move to accept. Also.
I have a motion.
Second,
I have a second. Ariel, could you call the roll, please?
Thomas,
Yes.
Marilyn,
yes,
Jim,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes,
Chris.
Yes. Okay, our next up is item B4, type 6 pumper apparatus purchase. And we have support services officer Bill Bishop again, who's kind of, Steve, you gotta take some lessons from Bill here. So he's getting the speaking parts.
Yeah, he saves them all
You
up.
gotta go to the addition committee.
well, I save them all up because I know they miss me. And so I try to make this month, February, a special moment for them.
I like it.
It is for all of us.
Yeah. So my report is as submitted. As a reminder, the chassis for these were approved, I guess, several months ago. We have recently actually taken possession of those. The bodies are 16 to 18 months out. And so that's kind of, we haven't finalized the total spec on those because they won't do that until we get closer to the date of the building date, so.
Okay.
That's where we're at on those.
Marilyn, did you have any questions?
yeah, I have a question. So you say the quote was not the lowest one,
Correct.
and the vendor is relatively local, like, what does that mean in the United
What?
States?
They're in Oregon. They're down out of Medford.
Not in Canada.
The highest bidder was, pardon?
Sorry, bad joke.
The lowest bidder was actually in Nevada, Las Vegas. And we were actually pretty interested in that, but given the body configuration, and they weren't really giving us an option that this vendor does, which is a transverse compartment up front of the body. They don't build them like that. And after speaking with Chief Olson, he was really wanting that. So that kind of limited our options on that purchase, and they were within $20,000 anyway, and so that kind of pushed us to using them. And then the other one was using Hughes Fire, but they were like 50,000 higher.
So had it been stacked with that transverse stack,
Yes.
and they bid anyway, or they're non-responsive, so they can't be the lowest one if they're not.
No, they all bid it.
Yeah, but I mean, if they didn't bid to the.
Oh, they
spec,
didn't bid to what we asked them if we could get the transverse compartment and.
They said no.
They did the whole line. So they were cheaper with it, with the spec that they had without the transverse compartment, but yeah, you're right, you're correct, they couldn't were like that.
Yeah, they couldn't meet the spec or something. They were told, oh, okay. Thank you, that was what I wanted to know.
Thomas, Jim? Jim, did you have any questions? Jay?
No, yeah, actually, one thing I want to say about to Bill is thank you for foreseeing all of this stuff with all of these challenges of getting everything you need to get and having to piecemeal an apparatus together over 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is. That's amazing, dude. Thank you for that. And thank you for taking good care of the district and the firefighters out there. And being willing to go jump through all these hoops to get the right apparatus for the crews. I can't tell you much appreciate that. So thank you for your work.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I just, one couple questions I had, Bill. In the background, you said one of these requested units will be an additional unit to augment the fleet located strategically. What's the other one doing?
Replacing,
Oh,
one of them will replace brush 11.
okay.
It's a 1994 Dodge.
Oh dear. It's problematic from a couple directions.
Right?
If you only knew.
I'm sure. The other question I had was, the chassis ordered separately for 68,005. Was that each one of them?
Yes.
Okay, I kind of thought, I was like, if you got two of those, I really want one.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers my questions that I had. Do I hear a motion for the board to approve the purchase of 2 Type 6 pumper apparatus bodies in an amount not exceeding $370,000?
So moved.
I have a motion
Second,
and a second. Jay, do you have another question? Oh, okay. A motion and a second. Ariel, could you call the roll, please?
Marilyn,
yes,
Jim,
Yes,
Jay,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes. Perfect. Carries. Next up, B5. Oh, you can't. This is, okay, Bill,
We're making it easy.
this one is hose and ladder testing. You have the floor still.
Excellent. So this report is also as submitted, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Jay, do you have any questions? Jim? No? Thomas? No. No, pretty straightforward to me.
Okay, very nice.
Okay, well, I hear a motion for the board to authorize the fire chief to enter into a 5-year hose and ladder testing agreement with Pacific Northwest Hydro LLC in the amount of $28,116 for the first year, $33,405 for fiscal year 25 through 28, making the total contract amount $161,739.60.
I so move.
Second.
Good, I didn't want to have to make Maryland do it again.
I know.
It just seemed, I don't know, excessive. Ariel, could you call the roll, please?
Jim,
were those balloons I just saw, Jay?
Yeah.
Yes. Want to make sure I wasn't hallucinating.
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Marilyn.
yes,
That's the stuff, that's the new stuff Zoom put in with gestures. You do stuff like this, you get balloons and all that. So yes, it's here they added. Brings
Hey, Jay.
wonderful highlights to electronic meetings.
Stop doing. Stop.
Thank you all.
There's no time
Thanks,
to
Billy.
play with the equipment. Okay, other business. Where did we go? OB1, we have board liaison reports. Where is this stuff? Oh, I'm okay. Let's see, what do we have? Foundation Liaison Director Cross.
Nothing to report. We got through the budget. That was the big one.
Okay, thank you. We have Interagency Committee, Director is Joseph, Director Searing. Who wants to take this one?
I'll take Gladstone. We had a oversight committee for Gladstone and Sandy. And his chief details will give a little details about Sandy. And do you have anything to add to Gladstone? It was kind of basic meeting. There was not much discussion.
It was a lot of accolades and, yeah, there was really no action items out of that. It was, you know, we're looking forward to the meeting in June.
Yeah.
It was just a really good, they're happy and that was the gist of that.
Jim?
Yeah, I took the same out of the Gladstone meeting. Great comments. They're very happy. And really the same with Sandy. We had our interagency committee meeting with Sandy on January 29th. It was a good meeting. It was held out at Sandy and we had the opportunity to attend Chief Schneider's retirement, which was scheduled right afterwards. So that was really nice being able to be there and see him off on that day. But great comments from their two directors that we meet with, and a lot of, especially regarding the staffing of that extra apparatus out there. It's really making a difference in Sandy, both there and Eagle Creek and Boring and the whole East Battalion. The way that it's configured now, it's good for everyone. So, and we'll be meeting quarterly. So we'll, another 3 months or so, we'll be meeting with Sandy again.
I would just add, I was at the Clackamas County Business Alliance Mayor's Summit Thursday. And I got a chance to talk to the mayor of Sandy and the mayor of Gladstone and the city manager, and just praise and accolades all the way around. Everybody's happy, and that's always a good thing to have smiling faces and happy customers. So good job.
Do you have anything up to date or update on Sandy?
I think Director Singer covered all, other than Mark presented a capital outlay plan.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Okay. OB2, does any board member have any informational updates or comments to share? No. Same. Okay, now your division department reports. R1A, Office of the Fire Chief, and you're gonna take
I'll take Brian's as well.
Brian's as well?
Yep.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much. I just would like to call attention to the fire chief's report. And if you look at those QRVs, the two pictures of those QRVs, that is what they look like. They are painted and ready to be put into action when operations makes that decision, as staffing allows. I know that was something that was brought up almost immediately post levy, and specifically with these, and that's them right there. So excited about those. Bill and Brent really found a great deal on both of those rigs. Appreciate their innovation and thinking outside the box to get those two and get them ready to be put into play. We reintroduced the community newsletter, and so quarterly now you'll see a community newsletter called the Siren, and that's the brainchild of Chief Whiteley, Isaac Hamilton, and Tracy Grisham. I'd like to give Steve credit, but I'm not going to, because I don't think that there's any credit for that on your, but getting a lot of positive feedback from that. In the Gladstone interagency, they were stoked with that newsletter, as was Sandy. So I'm excited about that. We thought we didn't want to overwhelm with monthly, so we're sticking with that quarterly format, and we're gonna beta that for the next year and see if we maintain that quarterly, if we move to a selling. So and that's in the packet. I'm not gonna steal Dan's thunder on the Call in the Chaos. I'm sure you're gonna speak to that.
No, you can go for it.
Okay, great. So one of the things that we've done a really, really good job for our firefighters coming up through the ranks, teaching them to be firefighters, teaching them to be apparatus operators. But when it comes to the company officer level and the chief level officer level, there hasn't really been that good dedicated level of training to help develop our people. And so, scanning across the nation, this program right here is the best one that's out there. And I'm excited about that. We have a total of 102.
Yes.
Licenses,
yeah.
every single chief officer, every single company officer, as well as those that are on the list, will be going through this training. And then we'll be able to, just as we go, be able to increase licenses moving forward. So we just rolled that out. It's 32 hours of work for our company officers, but it's something that is going to really establish a foundation for newer company officers and newer chief officers, and the seasoned company officers and seasoned chiefs. We learn something from it every single day. So excited about that. I want to call attention to Dark Horse, just our new analytic tool. Ariel likes it, right?
That's great.
So, so you'll see just our analytics looking a little bit different on reports in the future. But excited about Dark Horse and the predictive analytics that has for us in the future. So as far as the fire chief, that's all I have. From Brian, we are working through some remodel projects with the water damage at the training center. We've just started to receive bids there. And then we have Station 13 with Captain Corliss and facilities starting to line that out, getting it ready for a July 1 open. So there's some items that are needing to be done there for Station 13 to meet that timeline. And then Station 12, we had an architect out looking at Station 12 to see what that's going to entail, getting it to where we need it to be, to get it to be put into service. There are chiefs interviews this week for the project and facilities manager. That's Wednesday. They're taking there's 27 applicants, 5 are going to the chief's interview. And then Brian wanted me to make sure that everybody, that IT is replacing some aged hardware, and we're moving from dedicated servers to a virtual private cloud. That's going to create some efficiencies for the IT world. It's a little bit over my head what that all means, and I'm not going to bore you with the depths of what he wrote down here. But it just benefits us moving the servers to the cloud for HIPAA compliance and paying for what we use versus this robust system that we had before that we really didn't utilize. So couple things to bring to the board's attention, and Brian and Shelby will be bringing this as we get a little bit closer, but board training in order to get that other 2% for our insurance. We've got a couple of items that we'll be reaching out to you to complete in the near term. But that's all I have. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
No. Jay, any questions for the chief? Jim? No? Thomas?
I got one, sorry.
Go ahead.
Centennial Park, the board received an email. We replied to that email with what we're utilizing the Centennial Park fire station for, and we have not heard anything back from the civic club. So you reached out to them?
Yeah, I actually did hear back.
Oh, you did? This guy, would you speak to that then?
No, we should probably talk first.
Copy that. Cool beans. So
So any word on Station 12, or are they still waving their arms in the air?
for Station 12,
Yes.
you,
Cost wise, or any
sorry,
scope where they're gonna be at?
Yeah, they're
starting to look at.
they're starting, yeah, it's a little bit of a wag. You have the opportunity to just do enough to get in, or you have the opportunity to make it to where it needs to be. So we're trying to decipher which path we take. We should have more.
Yeah.
So that building, the downstairs pretty much mirrors our Station 9, the same layout, which is, it needs a lot of updating, just as far as cabinetries, appliances, all that stuff. It's like he termed it as like the flipper. If you're gonna flip a house, it needs those things to get it up to date. There's a tremendous amount of square feet upstairs that's unutilized. And we're looking at the option of how we can maximize that space and look long term. If it's within our price range to be able to get that thing set up for, if we're to have another massive event where we needed to house people, we needed to close the fire station and move people in there. Just long-term planning, 40, 50 years down the road, what that area is gonna look like. So there's kind of two options that we're looking at. But we're literally in the preliminary phases of that with most of the focus on Station 13. Okay, getting that opened up.
The Centennial Heights School report next month.
I'm just gonna circle back real quick because I forgot. The Oregon City Business Alliance, or not Oregon City, the Clackamas County Business Alliance meeting that I attended, I became aware of, like late Wednesday afternoon. And I went and looked because it was 4:54. I sent Eric an email, said, could she possibly, because it said on the regular website, it said it was full. I think it's because we're a member weekly. But at 4:54, I sent her an email and said, hey, I know it's kind of last minute. Could you possibly see if you could sneak me in? At 7:28 the next morning, I had an email that said she had taken care of it already. I hope you don't ever drop anything important to do anything for me like that, because you don't have to, but I appreciate it. That was very good.
Happy to help.
It was a interesting meeting. Lots of plans. Okay. He hasn't snibbled a whole lot, so I don't think anybody stole it. Have some stuff to talk about.
No? Sure, I've got it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so, community services is, they're busy planning the 2024, community interactions, things like that. And as you guys know, all of the areas that we either annex or contract with, all the events and things that are special to that area. Sandy is no different. We've had a couple that we've attended already. One of them, I was told, the Sportsman's Breakfast is going for about 60 years now. So, Chief Wiley and myself, we met with the Kiwanis Club about a month ago and, asked them to partner with us on that. And so, we will partner with them. We've had Chief Schneider there who, was able to talk to us about, maybe 24 hours isn't the right amount of time. Maybe doing it at night isn't. I think there's some things that he probably would have liked to have changed in the past, but now that he doesn't work there, he can say this is a good idea to not do it and blame it on us. So we met with the Kiwanis. They agreed to take it and we will help facilitate it. It'll still be at the fire station. It'll still be in the bay there. We'll help them with the advertising, all of that. And, but the hours are shortened to 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that'll be on Saturday, April 20th. So there'll be more to come on that. We did the Sandy board meeting. Really uneventful, just really to give them the monthly report of how things are going. And again, we've heard, not only the interagency meeting, but at the board meeting, very happy and we're able to answer all their questions. We're doing entry-level firefighter interviews all this week. There's 202 interviews happening. So there's 4 panels and they're doing 50 a day. 2 of the panels will do 51 on their last days, but the first day was today. With the training center being out of commission, we had to move locations, so we're doing two rooms at admin at Station 1, and then 2 rooms over at the HR house. So we were able to make that happen. Really proud of Nanette and Steve and Eric for being able to switch on the fly there and make it still happen. And so those are still happening. Those are happening all this week. And then just to take a moment, you'll notice on the agenda there that you'll be hearing the volunteer report from interim President Kenton Johnson. For many of you, Jerry has been here for many, many years, been very instrumental in a lot of the things that the Clackamas Fire has been involved with throughout the years. And he has made the decision to resign his position as acting president of the association. So they have held nominations. They will have an announcement at their Monday meeting of who the new president will be. Jerry will stay on as a support volunteer until June 30th and help with any of the transition that needs to happen. There'll be a recognition at that point. We'll make sure to invite everyone. The association will do a recognition, formal recognition at that point. And he will move to life member at that point, and he will focus his time on the Emergency Services Foundation. We are very, very thankful of Jerry's help throughout the years and really appreciated him for everything that he's done. We're glad to see that he's gonna remain as a life member. Can't get rid of him that easy, I guess.
Anything else?
That'll do it.
I'm just happy to saying, Jerry, that's pretty impressive. It's very impressive what you've done.
Thank you.
Jim, did you wanna?
Oh, sure. Is Jerry still there?
Jerry is here. Speak up.
Jerry's here.
Yeah, Jerry, I just wanted to take the opportunity and thank you for all your service. You've been a very integral part of several projects, including some of the mergers, consolidations, most notably the Boring volunteer merger, bringing the two groups together. You helped a lot. And thank you for your dedication, not just here, but your prior fire service history in New Jersey. Was it Hackensack, New Jersey, or what was the? No, I know it was Patterson. I always joke and say Hackensack. But thank you, Jerry, and look forward to celebrating at the formal event when it comes up later.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, with that, we will move on to R1D, Office of Financial Services, CFO Mark Whitaker.
Okay, thank you, good evening. So per usual, there is a finance report included in your packet, starting on page 21. Probably the one, thing that I did a double take on and kind of stood out to me is on page 22. You'll see we're trending really high in materials and services, compared to previous years and the budget. That's, actually not too far off from where I would expect us to be. There's a couple things that are leading to that change. Most notably is a change in how the county has billed us for dispatch services. We've traditionally paid that monthly. They've gone to just an annual invoice, which actually works out well for us because we don't have to pay prior to November when we receive property taxes. But then we do pay the whole amount in January rather than spread it over the last 6 months of the year. So that kind of was a big one-time bump that we haven't seen in previous years in January. The other big thing is transitioning IT services over to Fast Tech. So that has led to an increase in our materials and services spending compared to where we had it budgeted because we had most of IT services budgeted in personnel. So in the supplemental, we'll move those funds over and that'll make the materials and services budget balanced and closer to where it should be. Other than that, just a few other highlights from last month. I just kind of point out some of the capital purchases that are going on. Bill already presented on a bunch of those. But also the board approved turnout purchases a few months ago, and we finished the sizing on that. So those orders have all been put in. So I just wanted to highlight the activity that's going on the capital side that the levy has allowed us to do, which we haven't seen in recent years. And so that's a positive development, setting us up for success. So that's the end of my report, unless there's questions.
Marilyn, did you have? Jim, did you have any questions? Jay? Thomas? No. Yeah, the only question, Mark, is more tax revenue. It shows we budgeted in 77 million and change, and we're at 72. Is that about normal for this time?
Yeah, we're trending fine. So we'll have some big collection months next month, and then again in May, which we'll close that gap. So
In the tax season?
because of
Quarterly payments.
people who pay their property taxes in the 3 installments rather than pay it all in November.
Oh, that's right. You can space it out.
Right. So you get the 3% discount if you pay it all in November, but there are folks that do the 3 payments.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect, thank you. R1E, Office of Emergency Services, Assistant Chief Dan Hewitt.
Perfect, thank you. Just a quick report. Alex, since the fire chief hit a couple things I was gonna hit, which is kind of just the topic right now with the levy. So organizational priorities, we have 4 of them in the organization. One of them is emergency response. in our 2 to 3 year plan. So the academy is a big part of it. So academy prep, hiring, apparatus purchasing, station 13, station 12. All those things are a big part of our focus of what we're doing right now, which involves pretty much everybody in the room and all divisions of our organization. So I want to hit real quick on the dark horse emergency, which you can see in the board packet. There's a graphic that the fire chief referenced in his report. That's just a snapshot of the number of fires that we had in January. It shows mutual aid, but it shows where our apparatus responded on a actual structure fire. Instantaneous, be able to pull that information, see how many units or how many of the incidents were actually recalled, how many units were working incidents. It's just really easy to see, to gather information with that. So when we talked about the levy and where we're going to put the quick response vehicles, it is that program has been awesome. We're meeting every 2 weeks with Trevor, who's our GIS consultant, who's working through Dark Horse with us. So we meet every 2 weeks to go through that and to get the most accurate placement of apparatus and strategy for our deployment model. So it's worked out really, really well. Just a couple quick updates on our next academy. The onboarding day is March 6th for class 2401. There's going to be 11 new members. And then Chief Olson with Wildland, he's doing the final assembly of the crew. I'm going to get the onboarding of the management leadership roles here in the next couple of weeks, and then full onboard and start by April 1. We did I guess our annual recap with ODF, with our contract that we have for them, for technically our pilot with ODF, which is what was able to get our crew resourced out across the country, into Canada, into Alaska, and happy to report back that they're very pleased with that relationship and excited about extending or looking into the next year and working through that. So a lot of great things came out of that. The crew was on assignment, I believe, 124 days last year. So for the first year of an agreement, it worked out really, really well. They put that crew to work. So looking through my notes here, the chief hit, go ahead.
How many people are on staff? What's the staff number on the crew there?
So we have a 20-person hand crew. So and then we have a couple people in the leadership role. So the crew supervisor. So we have a couple people that travel with them. So we're around 22 people when they go out. So
it's gonna be consistent numbers.
Yep. And so as the season ends, like we went really late this year, we sent people to the Carolinas. And so we only sent a small module of like 9 people there, but we're really looking at fluctuating around that 20 number. Really interesting though, they were looking at potentially requesting us to go down to Lane County to help out with the ice storm. So it just shows how the utilization of that ODF agreement can really kind of help with the crew and getting experience out there. So apparently they got hit pretty hard with trees down and all that. So yeah, that's really it. And then the just operationally, I know the board is really interested in mutual aid, looking at the mutual aid report. We've trended really well with our mutual aid balance over the last couple of years. I feel like we've right-sized our mutual aid, and we have some challenges that Jay can attest to with Multnomah County. So I have CCOM working on that to try and save Multnomah County units from coming into our district and to save our units to going in to Multnomah County. So it's just going to help right-size those numbers a little bit operationally, so we can keep our resources for and ask for help on when we actually really, really need them. But there's been some challenges with the borders that we're getting cleaned up. So positive trend in that direction, and in my report. I can answer any questions.
Question, I don't know, this is maybe this AMR contract, Multnomah County. Why they keep saying that Clackamas County has no problem, we are able to manage. Is that a true statement from the media?
Thomas, that's a hard one to answer. That's really a hard one to get into. We've had a lot of, our crews are feeling a lot of level 0 in the county and with specific hours. So AMR has struggled to have in the nighttime, early mornings, they've struggled to have crews staffed or enough resources to be able to handle all the calls. And so when there's no ambulances in the county, they call it level 0. If there's, right, so you hear that terminology a lot with Multnomah County. I don't feel that our issues are as bad as Multnomah County, only strictly by call volume. We don't have near the call volume that they have, so we're not seeing the potentiating issue. We have had extended scene times where we have companies on scene for over 2 hours waiting for a transport ambulance. We've had to get creative. We've had our medic units they only transport 12 hours a day. There's been times where the crews will special request them at nighttime to be able to transport and try and improve outcomes. And it's really been a challenge. It's we talking with AMR's with their management of Clackamas County, it sounds like they're trending to have full staffing around July. But that was, things changed pretty quick. So we're hoping that it's going to trend in a more positive direction, but it's been a tough conversation for sure.
Thank you. Meryl? Jim? Any questions for Dan? Jay? Good, thank you, Jim.
You bet.
We have next up R1F Professional Firefighters, Clackamas County Local 1159, Vice President Andrew Gordian, who better not play poker with a poker face like I just saw there.
That's not my poker face.
I hope not.
Evening, members of the board. So I got just a couple quick updates for you. The local's been very busy with political candidate interviews. We've interviewed candidates for sheriff, candidates for county commissioner, and it's funny that we talk about the ambulance issues. That was one of the main things that came up in our conversations with potential county commissioners. So that's been a good topic of conversation and a good ability to have that, to foster those relationships with the county commissioners, to be able to have that. Hopefully in the future, if they have questions, they can call us and ask us directly. So we've been working on. Next week, we're headed to DC for the legislative conference, the IAFF legislative conference. So that's going to be a lot of lobbying and talking to politicians on national issues, as well as issues back home. So looking forward to that. Let's see, one other item, Station Captain and 1159 President Nate Hahn will be returning to the line March 1st. He's going to be the captain at Station 1. So I just want to let you guys know about that.
Well,
Do you have any questions for me?
Jim or Jay?
We might have
Jim's frozen.
Yeah, Jim is frozen.
Pretty much. He's got 1,000 yards
They're
there.
moving,
on yours.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not, he's frozen. Okay, well.
No, I'm here. I can hear you.
Any questions for Andrew?
Nope, we're good.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have fun back east. All right, then we have correspondence. I assume everybody looked at it. There's some nice letters this.
What about Kenton John?
Kenton's on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is Kenton here?
He's on.
He's on good.
I see how it is.
There he is. You're not, we don't see you up here. I didn't have a full view of everybody that's there, so.
Be grateful. Just be grateful you don't have to see me. But it's an honor to be here, board members and chiefs. I'll make this pretty quick because I see the clock behind Chief Mullock's head, and it looks like I should make this in about 30 seconds to get you out on time. So just briefly, I think you've already got the report on the volunteers. Nothing super significant happened in January to report. We did have about we had 7 EMS calls, a couple of motor MVAs, 3 power lines that were down. And then we canceled a couple of drills because of the weather. I hope today didn't give any of you the fear that we were having that same weather again when you saw the snow coming down. Kind of nice to see that melt off quickly. But they did some rehab and some SCBA drills, which were great. I think the highlight thing here really is that the coverage, we got 26 out of 31 nights covered. And I think our volunteers are doing a great job. We do have an additional volunteer that I expressed this in his presence about a week ago. We're a little bit iffy on, but we have a new water tender operator. And I think most of you maybe have met a guy named Phil Schneider. So again, assuming that he passes his background check and all that, we're really happy to have him on as a volunteer as well. We are doing our election process to have a new president, and today was the end of the nominations. We'll do the vote over the next week, and we'll announce who that is next Monday for our quarterly meeting. So thank you, all of you. And if you have any questions, I'm open.
Thank you, Kenton. Anyone have any questions for Kenton? No. Just tell Phil to be careful. You know how them inexperienced newbies can be.
We did have a conversation. No, don't ask him about that. Never mind.
Okay.
Hey,
All right.
Chris,
Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
I just wanted, I don't know if everybody in the room knew, but Kenton is also amongst all of the other things he's doing. He's also volunteered as the chaplain for the Oregon Fire District Directors Association too. So get to see him couple of times a month now, attending those meetings as well. So he's still doing great work, not just locally, but all over the place. So
Thank you, Jay. You're very kind.
Okay. I said we had correspondence here. Has everybody had a chance to look at that? Any comments on those? Very nice letters this month. Informational items for anybody? The next Board of Directors meeting will be on Monday, March 18th, 2024 at 5 p.m. The meeting will be hybrid with the public invited to attend either by remote video conference or in person at Station 5, 9339 South Ecology Avenue, Happy Valley, Oregon, 97086. The regular Board of Directors meeting is now adjourned at 6:32 p.m.